Chapter 8. Thoughts and Memories. The next morning when Noah woke up, Sarah and I were still passed out on the living room floor next to the Christmas tree. Thankfully, we already had everything ready to go. Despite how exhausted we were, Noah's excitement made it all worth it. Noah was a lot like me when I was younger, wild and full of energy, especially when he was outside. He still had the stitches in his head from Thanksgiving, not the original ones because he kept reopening the cut and kept needing to get them redone. I think Noah's doctor got tired of restitching his stitches, so he made him wear this stretchy headband made of gauze and some kind of elastic wrap. He looked almost like a mummy, at least from the head up, while unwrapping his presents. I'm still quite mad at the watcher, wherever he is, but I have to admit the aftermath was a little funny. During the day, until about 4 o'clock p.m., it was just Sarah, Noah, and me, and we cherished every minute of it. One of the best and most appreciated highlights of my day, other than watching Noah opening his gifts, was when Sarah gave me my present from them. It was a framed picture of my whole family. Evidently, it was really old because it included me, my grandparents, my mother, and Lucian Graves. She said she had found it months ago while cleaning out the house and had known what she was going to do with it ever since. It's strange how thoughts and memories can shift so much over time. It's not that I've completely forgotten about the harder times, but I have learned how to tuck them away as life lessons that had to happen in order for me to be where I am. Either way, once 4 o'clock rolled around, I didn't have much time to think about that or anything else because our crowd of regulars had just arrived. Dexter was still a little timid around Sarah at first, but as the evening went on, I think all was forgiven. By the time I had already proudly placed my Christmas gift, the framed family picture on the mantel, and Poppy and Ron gathered around it, they seemed to admire it almost as much as I did. Poppy told Ron every story he had about Lucian Ironheart Graves, and Ron listened as if he was right there in that terrible war with them. I remember Poppy telling me how familiar Ron's eyes looked to him, and I overheard him asking Ron if they'd ever met before our last Thanksgiving dinner. Ron just shrugged his shoulders and said he'd been around, so it was possible. But Poppy, being the sleuth he was, kept asking questions. I guess he was trying to figure out how he knew Ron, outside of just meeting him through me. Poppy then asked about Ron's last name, Thayer. Ron was polite, but I think he'd had enough of Poppy's gentle interrogation and excused himself with a smile, saying, "The real story is in the spelling." Even I, who had been eavesdropping, had no idea what Ron was talking about or what Poppy was trying to figure out. Either way, for the rest of the day, the only thing they talked about was the snow and the ride home from the mountains the day before. I will say Ron was the only person that Poppy didn't call Buddy for some reason. If the Thanksgiving meal was great, our Christmas meal was super great. We had pretty much the same food, except we swapped the tender turkey for heavenly ham, and this time our dessert menu included gingerbread cookies, pumpkin pie, and red velvet cake. And once again, as Nanny would say, it was definitely a sweatpants feast. After the meal, I snuck away to the porch swing once again. I think I just needed a moment to reflect on both of the Christmases I almost missed, and how grateful I was that I didn't. Sitting there, I looked up where the watcher used to be. I still wasn't sure I wouldn't grab my 12 gauge if I saw him again, but I still kind of missed him at the same time. I always called him a him, and to be honest, I wasn't sure. I just assumed he was male because of how relatedly unpredictable he'd been. Either way, with that one exception, our family had grown so much, some blood-related and some not, but family just the same. After those 2 wonderful holiday meals in less than a month, I'm sure all our waistbands had grown too. Buddy even came back over for the feast, and we didn't have to ring the bell this time. As the evening came to a close and we all said our goodbyes, Buddy wandered over to Noah one last time. I'm not sure if he didn't like Noah's new headgear or what, but as Noah bent down to pet him, Buddy tried to scratch the bandage off his head. It wasn't as aggressive as what the Watcher did, but it wasn't exactly gentle either. It was rough enough that Ron had to grab that dog by the collar and start leading him home. After everyone left and considered all the animal chaos at our last 2 holiday meals, I turned to Sarah and said, "I guess Noah's not going to be a zoologist or veterinarian when he grows up." Sarah responded the way she does to me at times, with a look that made it very clear she didn't find my little joke very funny at all. Not even a little bit. Once Sarah's frustration with me wore off and we finished cleaning the house, we sat on the sofa watching our boy's joyfulness while playing with his new toys. Just like the last Christmas, she reached over and held my hand, and I didn't feel that life could get any better. 2 days after Christmas, Noah was scheduled to have his stitches taken out. Again, I think he was just grateful to finally get that scratchy thing off his head, as he liked to call it. When we got to the doctor's office, the stitches came out without a problem, but to say there were no problems would have been a huge lie. I took Noah by myself since neither Sarah nor I expected anything out of the ordinary. We figured we'd be in and out and back home in no time. But, unfortunately, that's not how it went at all. When Noah came out, I noticed the doctor quietly motioning for a nurse to take him to a small playroom connected to the waiting area. Then, the doctor walked over to me. His head was down, and just like so many others in my life, he looked like he was searching for the right words to tell me something I wasn't going to want to hear. One of the tests Noah had taken after the incident with the Watcher had come back showing something abnormal. The doctor wasn't certain what the big spot on his brain was, but he looked concerned. He told me they needed to run more tests to find out if it was what he thought it might be. Hearing those words felt like God himself punched me in the gut. Nothing was certain yet, so I tried not to jump to conclusions, but I had no idea how I was going to tell Sarah. Not this. Not about our boy. On the ride home, I had as many tears in my eyes as I've ever had. I may have once thought I was some big, tough ex-military guy, but the truth was, when it came to Noah, I was just a dad, a scared, helpless dad praying for answers, even though I didn't know exactly what the prayers should be. As I pulled that old pickup truck into the driveway and parked, Noah jumped right out. He slammed the door shut and ran into the house. He couldn't wait to tell his mom that the doctor had finally taken that stupid thing off his head and that he was finally free. I stayed behind in the truck a little longer. Something in me already knew what was coming next. The more I sat there thinking, the more I began to realize the Watcher and Buddy did too, and they were just trying to tell us in the only way they knew how. To confirm my thoughts, the thoughts I never wanted to have, I sat on the porch swing once more before going in the house. I didn't even have to look up. I knew the Watcher was back. I could just feel it, and just like I thought, there he was, sitting right there in the place where he was meant to be. Realizing I was still outside, Sarah came out looking for me. But before she could even step all the way out the front door, she saw that our estranged family member had returned and was perched in his old spot. Sarah started shouting at him, trying to shoo him away, but the Watcher didn't budge. He just sat there in silent confidence, knowing he had done his job. Just after I fully understood why the Watcher had come back, Buddy showed up too. He'd never come over to our house without Ron. Not once. He didn't stay long this time either, but he ran right up to me, licked my hand, and then took off. I still hadn't told Sarah what was happening, and the doctors hadn't really told me much either. They were going to run a bunch of tests, but deep down, I knew they hadn't given us the full truth yet. Even though the doctors didn't, I honestly believe the Watcher and Buddy did, and I think they both were trying to tell us all along.